At exactly 2:12 local time, the first Tomahawk hit. Missile site Alpha obliterated. Surveillance drones confirmed secondary explosions, indicating a stockpile of ordnance. The heat signature stayed hot for over 20 minutes. 2 minutes later, Target 2, the radar truck, lit up the coast in a bloom of orange. Its emissions had pinged one last time, enough for a HARM missile to home in like a bloodhound. No losses, no alarms, just silence and smoldering debris on the ground. VLS, vertical launch systems. Inside, Tomahawk cruise missiles, precision-guided, long-range, and ready for immediate launch. One missile, then two, then four, each screaming up into the night sky. Silent afterburn, curving east towards the Yemeni coast. And this was just the start. Because they'll have to ask, is this the one that gets me vaporized? Even though the US didn't issue a single press release, the world got the message. Satellite intel leaked, analysts picked up the patterns, news cycles caught whispers. And every military power watching, China, Russia, Iran, took notes. The takeaway? You don't mess with US air power unless you're ready to play a different game. The moment that missile launched, the response was already in motion. The missile had failed, but its data had succeeded. It gave the US Navy a window, a confirmed location, a launch site, and a tactical footprint. And in modern warfare, that's all you need. Target package? Simple. Missile launcher site? Primary. Suspected command post? Secondary. Mobile radar truck spotted via drone thermal? Tertiary. The Houthis likely had no idea they were even being targeted until the first explosion lit up the coast. And what that pilot didn't know at that moment was that he was the final threat in a very dangerous game of bait and trap. Because in recent weeks, the Pentagon had authorized a shift in posture. No more waiting. If a radar spiked on the wrong aircraft, it was now considered hostile. If a launch occurred, retaliation would be automatic. The rules of engagement had changed. Quietly, formally. And in this case, the Houthi launcher had made the ultimate mistake. It lit up long enough to be seen, fired once, and stayed in place just a few minutes too long. That would be its last mistake. The pilot had barely recovered from the evasive maneuver when his RWR, or radar warning receiver, lit up again. New contact, different angle. The first missile had missed, but there was more. This time it wasn't just one signal, it was a burst. Multiple radar locks, staggered and fast. The pilot's AN/ALR-56M system screamed in his headset. Threat, SA-6, lock. An SA-6? Classic Cold War era Soviet SAM. But the Houthis had been seen using Iranian copies of the same tech. Syad-class systems, upgraded with better seekers and mobile launchers. Slow to set up, even slower to hide. But when active, they were deadly. And they were locked on. The pilot's left hand gripped the throttle, afterburners engaged. They jammed every known Houthi frequency, scrambled early warning radars, and spoofed their detection systems into seeing ghost fleets. In other words, while the Houthis tried to figure out what hit them, they couldn't even talk about it. No comms, no signals, just fear, smoke, and blank screens. And that was that. The Houthis, and by extension their Iranian sponsors, learned a brutal lesson. Because warfare isn't just about weapons, it's about perception. Because what the Houthis didn't know was that they were being watched the entire time, from way high above at nearly 60,000 feet. A Navy MQ-4C Triton drone had been circling in wide ISR loops. It wasn't armed, but it didn't need to be. Its job was eyes. And its eyes saw everything. Thermal spikes on the ground, electronic pulses, precise coordinates, all streamed back in real time to CENTCOM and, more importantly, to the Combat Information Center aboard the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower. The sky over the Red Sea was calm again, but this time the silence was earned. And the message was clear. If you launch at a US jet, you better pray it hits, because if it doesn't, the next thing coming isn't another missile, it's everything. They say modern war is fast, but this was surgical. The moment the F-16's data feed locked into that missile trail before it even dodged the blast, the US Navy already had what it needed. Timestamps, telemetry launch vector, GPS coordinates, and thermal spike signatures.